So first of all, I just want to say Happy Memorial Day to everyone out there who served the country, all the veterans out there. Appreciate your service. Today was a really good day. I had a good morning. Went out and flew my ultralight, basically just hanging from a bed sheet and a lawn chair. Not really, but perfect buttery smooth air. It was a really good flight. Only flew for about 30 minutes, but you know, 30 minutes is 30 minutes. That's pretty fun. Longer than an amusement park ride. But I wanted to make this video today because it is Memorial Day, and Memorial Day is usually when you bring your plants outside to put them in your garden. I live in Northeast Ohio, and it is closer to the lake. It's about 10 miles south of the lake, and usually around here in this climate, Memorial Day is a really good safe time to bring your seedlings outside to start them outside or to continue growing them outside, because that way you're pretty much at pretty much no danger of frost after Memorial Day. It depends on what you're growing, but for me, watermelons, when I start these in the house about 2 weeks before, and no more than that and no later than that. It's right around where you want to do that. These melons here specifically, they're an oblong melon. One is a red melon, one's a yellow melon. I'm just kind of doing both this year. I've done several in the past years. For anyone who's been following my channel knows that. But today I'm really just talking about the garden. And I'm actually going to be doing a time-lapse of this entire garden growing these melons. This whole garden is going to be filled up with all these watermelon vines. And right behind the camera right now is actually where my time-lapse camera is set up, and that's going to be doing a time-lapse over the entire grow, so about 3.5 to 4 months. Also at the end of this video, you're actually going to see, if you're interested, you'll see a time-lapse of the transition from winter to spring where the leaves grow on the trees. It'll be at the end of the video. You'll watch that if you're interested. But anyways, I wanted to talk in this video today about how I started this garden. I've had other videos talking about how I grow melons and all that stuff. I'll link those at the end if you want to watch any of that stuff if you haven't already seen it. But this garden started out pretty much when I moved in here, so maybe I think it was about 9 years ago now. And when I started the garden, it didn't start like this. I put a fence around it, but there was no raised bed, and there was nothing really raised about it. All I did was, I paid someone to do it. I didn't do it myself because I didn't have time at that time. So what we did actually is just kind of map out an area where we're going to till it up, did just that, and then amended the soil with some more richer soil, because in this area we have a lot of hard packed clay and you're not going to grow a whole lot of stuff in there very well. So we did do that, and over the years what I've actually done is I would bag my grass. I have a lot of grass in my yard. I got about 1 acre. So I'll bag my grass, spread it out throughout the top, which is really good for your soil. It has a lot of nitrogen, slow release nitrogen, and you can't overdo it. There's no way you can overdo it. There's a lot of pros about adding grass. I've talked about that in other videos. Like I said, it'll be at the end if you're interested in watching any of those. But after the summer, then you have the fall and the leaves fall off the trees, suck up the leaves, chop them up, put those on top. And then year after year after year is grass, leaves, grass, leaves. And that is all I do to my garden, basically just a natural compost. It's free. You can do really well just by simply adding leaves and grass to your garden and slowly build up a good base to grow stuff in. So in my case, this year, this is the only year I have not bagged my grass, and I'm not going to be using any grass as a top dressing at all. I'm just using leaves that I collected from last fall, and these have been on here. These are actually chopped up in not the lawnmower, but a stick grinder, I guess. Anyways, these are actually pretty finely chopped up to help them start breaking down a little bit quicker. But there's a downside to it. If you are using just a thick top coat of leaves, it is a good mulch layer. The downside to using leaves, though, is they don't really release a lot of nitrogen into the soil. Leaves will remineralize your soil. Like, that's literally all you need to remineralize your soil each year. It depends on when you put them in there, they're going to have to still break down, so you don't want to put them in there the same year that you're planting, so you want to do it the year before, which works out well because fall through winter into spring. But there's not a whole lot of nitrogen in it, so whatever is in the soil underneath it's pretty much all it's going to be used. And in the past years, it's always been grass, and I've always had really good success using that. The only downside to using grass, and it's not a really big one, is that worms are beneficial to your garden, and you want the worms to kind of come up to the surface, and they only really want to do that in moist, loose soil. And if you put grass on top of it, it works really well for that, but worms don't really like a lot of nitrogen. At least that's what I've read anyways. So you'll get worms, but you get less of them. If you top dress with leaves, because the way they break down and how they hold the moisture in really well, and they don't have a lot of nitrogen, you'll usually get more worms underneath there, which means more worm castings, more soil aeration and everything. So that's really going to help out a lot in that area. But this year is more of an experiment for me to see what will happen if I don't use grass, because I've always used grass, fresh grass. So we're going to see throughout this season how well these grow in this garden without adding anything to it. And I never water my garden either. Once these are in the ground, I water them. I'll water the seedlings for like the first couple days, and that's pretty much it. Last year I did water a little bit because I was trying to grow the giant melons, the ones that grow to 200 pounds. You're really not going to be able to do that unless you water your garden. So I think my melon, the biggest size, was a 70 pound, maybe a 56 pound, I don't remember exactly, but I did make a video of that on my channel. But, you know, you're not going to get the best growth each year. It's because, you know, there's variable conditions, and if you want to grow like the largest melon possible, you can't just put it in the ground and expect it to grow. It's just not going to happen. You got to feed it, you got to water it, and usually you only want to have one plant and then remove any other melon growing. You want all the energy to go into the one melon. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get to 200 pounds just because the seed packet says grows up to 200 pounds. So this year we're just going to grow this, and the whole purpose of this is just to pretty much test out to see how well it grows with just a top dressing of leaves. There is some grass clippings there from very early last year, so that would have been a year ago now. So there's not a whole lot of nitrogen in that left. And then we'll also want to see what it looks like with the time lapse. It's going to be taking one picture every 20 minutes until the end of the growing season, until pretty much everything's all wilted and I harvest them. So I just wanted to kind of bring that out, kind of say Happy Memorial Day to everyone, kind of show everyone what's going on. If you're interested in seeing the time lapse of the watermelon plants growing this entire season, there will be a video probably sometime in August or September. So subscribe, click the bell icon, and thanks for watching.